Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode, another great guest. Our buddy Azircon makes a triumphant return, just back from the Eastern Hemisphere. Touchdown in Houston just a couple of days ago. For my understanding is he came back home just for this episode. So appreciate that one, AZ. Good to see you as always, man. How are you?
I am doing good. And yeah, I mean, I'm just here for a few days, and then November I have to get back in there again. So yeah, good to be here as always.
Welcome home for the brief period you're here.
Yes, yeah.
Cool. Well, we're just kind of chatting through some bullet points on the agenda off air, and kind of picked a few high level pieces, and you brought up one that is near and dear to the People's Guild here, the TPG challenge, and kind of all of the. It's been amazing to see the amount of submissions and participation that we've seen as a result of that. I think last week was our biggest outcome yet. I think we had 12 or 13 submissions all said and done. And there were a couple of kind of words of wisdom that you wanted to share with folks as far as what to look out for and how best to kind of navigate posting habits and that sort of stuff. So why don't we kick things off in that frame and let's go from there, AZ.
Okay. So, I'll keep it relatively short, and then, both you and Hep jump in at any time you want and stop me and redirect me whichever direction you want me to go. So first of all, I want to congratulate both of you that, it was your idea. And generally, we want to have a lot of Splinterland players participate in the Hive blockchain in terms of blogging and content creation. So I think the TPG challenge has done a very good job on that. And so far, the prompts or the direction you have given to people is very original. And it's not very easy to replicate in terms of what I call template posting, right? So let's just talk about template posting a little bit, because that's really important. So Splinterland, as you guys know for a long time, the Splinterland community actually has a bunch of prompts or weekly participation programs, correct? And they are traditionally been battle posts. Traditionally been for the longest of time, it was battle posts. And we have been trying to change that. I've been very vocal about that. What battle post is essentially a person describe a particular type of battle and using screenshot or GIFs, essentially discuss strategy. So what happens, this becomes sort of a template, and people essentially just do repetitive posting on the template. I don't think very few people actually reads them. If you look at the conventional Splinterland post, and it kinds of becomes a operation that the person who's posting is just posting to receive votes, right? So essentially, we have now a sort of a fairly large voting account, right? We have the Steam Monster account, and also the DAO account, the SPS DAO account follows that as well. In addition, Matt's personal account follows that. So like 100% vote, we can look it up, how much it is. Like the DAO account is 1 million, HP. That is very easy. Splinterland is, I think, 1.5 million HP. And Matt's personal account is about 880 million HP. Sorry, 880,000 HP.
And
so
I just want to jump
together,
in real quick too. So just so people maybe aren't familiar with Hive posts, there are certain like templates you can save, right, and reuse, so
correct.
that
Correct.
you know, you're not kind of creating this whole thing from scratch. You'll probably have 90% of it created
Right.
and saved, and then you just put it in maybe screen grabs or the link to your
Right.
battle and things like that.
Right.
So it's almost like a really sort of automated process for a person to
Basically.
do. And so just to make that clear, people who aren't familiar, who
Yes.
haven't gone through and done that
Yeah.
sort of thing or look to save templates in Hive, but there
Yes.
are a lot of tools you can use to
Yeah.
save and reuse material. So
Actually, in PICD, you can save a template, and this is text, right? So you can just save a Word document for all practical purposes, right? In your computer, you can just save a Word document with a basic frame, and all you are going to do, you are going to change certain names based on that battle of that particular day. So I have had numerous people, and there are people with reputations in the high 70s. They have farmed sort of this Splinterland vote for a long time. And I have been very much against it. And from that, now you will notice even on the Splinterland post, now they have detached themselves for this weekly battle post. Like now they are much more complicated, much more innovative. So we are just trying to get people out of this, what I call template posting, right? Because, for example, in TPG, and BJ, you have been very creative about the topics of this post. It is nearly impossible to create a template for this because it's completely unique topics each time. And people actually have to put effort to write the text. And the goal is to write something original so other people can get some kind of value out of it, as opposed to this just becomes like just a combination of words that we are going to vote. That's not the purpose of this. So I just want to make that clear, and so that people understand this. So that's the first element. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing, since we are having a lot of relatively new people who are not either familiar with blogging in the past or not familiar with Hive in the past, who are now participating in this. And one thing that happens, some of these posts can get fairly decent rewards, like, rewards in the order of $30, things like that, right? So if you get that, and if a lot of these peoples are from developing countries where $30 is a significant amount of money, you can get into this habit that, if I write something up, I will get some money. So why don't I write twice as much or 3 times as much so that I have a potential to get 2 times, 3 times as much money? Doesn't work that way, right? Doesn't work that way. So just don't do that. And only this morning, I have responded to a relatively new poster that this person have made 2 posts within 4 hours, right? So made 2 posts within 4 hours. Like if that happens, it's very difficult for people to vote, right? This is considered essentially a farming operation, whether or not you consciously are doing it in the thinking about rewardful farming. And whenever I'm saying farming operation, it means, trying to get vote or trying to get vote as just in order to get vote, as opposed to having any original thinking or trying to write a good quality blog. So the bottom line on this is try to keep the post frequency at a minimum. So we are looking for quality as opposed to quantity. Typically, 1 post a day is a lot, right? Very few people can post one post a day and keep a decent quality. It is unlikely that you are going to do a good job doing multiple posts a day. So 2 posts a day is a no-no. You should not try that. I mean, especially if you're a new blogger. Okay, so that's the other thought.
Yeah, that's fair feedback, and I think I know exactly the user. Shout out to our buddy knows him. He's really kind of taken and run with the TPG challenge. I can see with his comments and his messages on Twitter, he's certainly excited to be embracing what's available with Hive and the Peak D front end. So I appreciate you taking the time to kind of lay out what is not necessarily law, but what is the best practice for being
exactly.
being a good citizen on Hive. And whether or not you intend to farm is actually irrelevant when the behavior is there and it's symptomatic of what farmers do.
Right.
Yeah.
So and again, I understand the excitement, and there is nothing wrong with it, and that's why I want to brought this up. And the important thing to understand is at Hive, there is really no rules or law, which is a very powerful thing. But we have these codes that we have sort of developed over the years in our mind, and that's sort of community driven because it's the community who is providing the support. So the community should enforce certain behavior. I want to say behavior as opposed to rule. There are no rules. I mean, you are free to do whatever you want to do, but always remember, if you do whatever you want to do, there are others out there who can do whatever they want to do as well. So the other side can do magic too.
Well, I think we all understand what you're alluding to there, AZ, and we'll get to that in a second. But I do want to call out, and I think it's easy to fall into the idea of, oh, Splinterlands social media campaign this week is XYZ, and the People's Guild Challenge this week is YZA. I can create one post and kill two birds with one stone. Somebody dropped in, I forget if it was last week or the week before, but somebody dropped one in and tried to kind of double dip. My initial reaction was, I want unique content on TPG Challenge, and I would expect Splinterlands, the social media challenge, would also expect unique content. Is that, can you just clarify for us? Is that something else that is kind of considered best practice, good behavior?
Absolutely. And I 100% agree with you. And my direct request to you, BJ, you got to be vocal about it, because since it is your contents, you are the owner who is creating it. So if you notice it, write a comment, be very specific. And if you have time, I know you are busy, feel free to write a comment on any one of these. And if you have, oftentimes at your phone, you may have 2 minutes that you are looking at the phone anyway. And a lot of the time we write comments from the phone. Just write a comment and let people know.
Yeah, I did make that suggestion. I think I said something to the effect of, we'd let it count as participation this week, but for subsequent ones, we would disqualify that. And I think it's definitely a lesson learned along the way. Also, late submissions. Why is my post not included in the poll?
Yes.
So I've just kind of learned what it means to try and put one of these things together.
Right.
There's a lot more pieces going on and a lot more activity than I expected. So bear with us. We're trying to learn it just as well as you guys are.
No, and again, this is the next thing I'm sure you are going to get. As more people will write, you are going to get this. I guarantee you are going to get this, that why my post is not voted. You are going to get this. And there is this answer to this, and I will give the answer right away. Getting a vote on your post, it is not a guarantee, right? That depends on the curator. You can participate on a contest and get absolutely 0 vote. That is totally possible, right? So we do not promise any vote. And the reason I said that, we have done this in the past. And actually, even today at Hive, this happens. People promise vote, and which is a really bad thing. Because, and I will tell you why it is a bad thing. So if you are promised a vote, then you have to give it, right? And it doesn't matter. I can write about dinosaurs, or I can just copy paste something about dinosaur and put it in the community post or whatever contest that you have, and then you are going to have to vote it, right? But that's not the purpose. That's not the point of it. It's not original content. It has nothing to do with what you are trying to accomplish. So we do not promise vote. And that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like, the way that I ideally am trying to structure this thing is whether or not your post gets the this is assuming that you participate in the TPG challenge and you kind of tick all the boxes as far as criteria that have been laid out in the kind of initial challenge post, that whether or not your post receives the necessary traction to get you a significant payout for those efforts, if it's the best post in the bunch, you're still going to get paid out something, rewarded something based on the subsequent TPG challenge post. So I've tried to kind of snowball it into the next week and encourage that continuous behavior and regular engagement. But yeah, that's a good call out, AZ, especially as this thing grows. Obviously if we're getting 25, 30 posts a week, it's going to be really tough to justify 25 or 30 100% payouts for everybody.
No, I mean, not even 100% is never going to be 100%, but even 50% would be impossible, because we are going to drain our, our voting mana is constant. It has an upward limit, and with each vote it drains. So there is a limit to it, right? So we cannot promise any vote. That's always the case.
Yeah. Okay, well let's talk about the other elephant in the room. It's the big old heartbreaker. Literally, it's I think it's also one of those things that's inevitably going to come as you grow, as you gain traction with the Hive community. There's folks out there who tend to run a little bit rogue and try to restore balance to things. And of course, I'm alluding to the epic downvotes. So, Azircon, can you give us a little bit of background? Why should people not take this personally? Why should people not feel discouraged based upon receiving one or a few downvotes?
Right. So, I'll be happy to talk about it. I am very familiar with this topic, and always jump in this discussion, because there is an ethical side to it, right? And I want your opinion on the ethical side of it, because that's the crux of this issue, right? So as you know, in any Hive post, you get upvote for your content, you can get downvote for your content. And the voting, meaning in other social media platforms, is just like and dislike. You get like and dislike in Reddit. You get like and dislike in YouTube. You don't go after people who disliked you and kind of chase them down and ask them questions. Do you? You don't. In Reddit, you don't. In Facebook, you don't. In YouTube, you don't. They all have up button and down button now. Previously it was just love or up button. Now there is a down button too in YouTube, in Reddit, in Facebook. So the only reason you do that in Hive is because there is a money associated with it, because vote has a value, a monetary value. Some upvote, and by the way, 99.95% or probably 99% of Hive votes are upvote, and 0.01% or less is downvote. So the downvote in Hive is insignificant compared to the upvote is also. So I can point you to that. So the is you get certain upvotes and you may get certain downvote. Most of the times you don't. And then every post has this 7-day window. And during this window, one thing that is important to know, during this window, the rewards on that post that you see, I call them potential reward. They are not your rewards yet. The rewards are only yours after day 7 at payout. Before that, they belong to the common reward pool, right? And at that point in time, you have no control over them. So you cannot control who votes you or who downvotes you. So my request or my suggestion is to consider this not personal at all, right? Because you don't consider this thing personally in YouTube. You don't consider this personal on Reddit. So the only reason you are considering this personal at Hive because there is a monetary value associated with it. So that's the first part. So I'll just pause there and let you ask any question.
Hep, you got any
No, I don't think I have
thoughts
any
from
questions.
the philosophical, ethical side of things there?
Not yet. We'll get
Yeah.
we'll get into some of it, I'm sure. So
Yeah. So that's the first part.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you just receive a downvote on your post, lot of the time you have received 150 upvotes and you have received one downvote. You did not reach out to those other 150 people and ask them, why did you upvote my post? Did you? You didn't. But you reach out to that one person who downvoted your post and you ask for a reason. Is that fair? That's the first question. Is that fair thing to do? So there is
okay, Azircon, I've got to interject because
Yes,
when I was
please.
first getting started doing this thing, I was really taken aback when I got a $4 or $5 downvote from
Yes.
there's certain accounts that like I said to kind of introduce this bit of Hive. There's folks that like to play that Maverick and apply balance and justice and make sure that your content is receiving its due, no more, no less. And that's kind of how I have understood our conversation around the downvote. But
Yes.
until you kind of understand everything that you've said, on the surface, it feels very personal. And
Yes.
the difference between YouTube and Twitter and Reddit is it's not anonymous. I'm able to, if AZ slaps my post with a downvote, I'm able to navigate to your profile. I can see that it was you that gave me this $5 downvote. I can see that you're into Pokemon. Hey man, we like the same shit. What is your problem with me? You know what I mean? It feels
Yes.
personal, and it doesn't.
Yes.
And I'm not nitpicking around the Peak D interface. I think it's sexy. I think they've done a lot of really cool stuff. We can talk about snaps a little bit later. And shout out to Asgard, the Jarvie. They continue to innovate and offer some cool stuff on Peak D. But the icon for the downvote is a broken heart.
Yes.
So there's a few different aspects that kind of lead to this feeling. It feels personal, and the broken heart only appears when you receive the downvote.
Yes.
So it's
Absolutely.
not like the broken heart is there and then it gets bigger as you get downvoted. Yeah. No, it only appears when you get the downvote. So there's certain little bits and pieces that make it sting a little bit more than the upvote. So yeah, I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say that I've been in those shoes and I've tried to understand. Yeah. Now, of course, I do kind of. Yeah, I kind of get it. I just reached out to you about a week ago to try and understand a recent one.
Yeah.
But more so to understand who this person is. But anyways, okay, go. Just wanted to provide some context, AZ. Go ahead.
No. It's very good, and I appreciate that. But first of all, let me rise up to my friend Asgard, Big D, the broken heart. I think to support Asgard, the only thing I'm going to say the symbol in PICD for upvote is a heart. And therefore, the downvote is just the opposite of that. It's a broken heart. I don't think Asgard had any personal way of pointing to that symbol in any other way. It's just an opposite symbol. So that's all. If it is a thumbs up, the opposite symbol would be thumbs down. So let's just be honest with PICD there. So I think that's that. But you are right though. And it is how our psyche is built in. And it's all about, we see that at workplace all the time. If you have a positive feedback to your coworker that, they did something right, something good, it's very easy to give that feedback. And it's very easy to receive that feedback. People like that. But it is incredibly difficult to give a negative feedback. Actually, we don't even say negative feedback, do we? We say constructive feedback, right? So there we go. Like we are already sugarcoating it when we were doing it. So therefore, it's actually very difficult to give, and it is even more difficult to receive. And it is true for all of us. If you give me constructive, negative feedback, I really have to train myself to receive it. It's not obvious. Like our lizard brain do not work that way. Our lizard brain is defensive. Our defense mechanism got triggered, like whenever that happens. And we immediately try to be defensive. So that's why it hurts. But again, my previous explanation of, how if you can believe that those potential rewards are not yours to begin with, if it is not yours, nobody can take it from you, right? But the problem is you think it is yours, and then you immediately feel defensive because someone took it from you. No, they didn't. They did not take it from you. It was not yours in the first place. So that's the thought process.
So I have a question about how this was this always part of the system? Was this always part of PICD, the upvoting and downvoting from, its origination, or was it, added to kind of act as this sort of policing mechanism?
So first of all, PICD is just a front end.
Right.
This was always part of Hive, right? So, and PICD is just an interface, a design that is on top of that, right? So at the very beginning, there was downvote. However, the mechanism was, it was not free. By free, what it means that at a given, like let's say your voting mana is 100%. Each 100% vote you give, your voting mana drops by 2 percentage points, right? And so on and so forth. Back in the beginning, if you give a downvote, your voting mana drops the same amount as if you have given an upvote. So there was no difference. However, later on, after a particular hard fork, I have forgotten the number, it was decided, because there was spam was so proliferated, it was decided that each individual will have 10 free downvote. 10 free meaning if you have 100% voting mana and you give 10 downvotes, 10 full downvote, there is not going to be any change in your voting mana. Correct? So it's so essentially you have 10 free downvote. Okay. Now, if it is less than 100%, there is a small change, but it is not much. It's really small. So that's a later addition, and it was created to gatekeep and to protect the blockchain against spam or negative content, because there are numerous cases, like during the 2016 election, and the reason I brought this up because we are in an election cycle right now.
Don't remind
During
me.
2006, yeah, well, are you in a swing state? No, you are not, right?
I'm not in any state, so.
And I am not in a swing state. So, at least our votes do not matter that much. So, anyways, during the 2016 election cycle, there were many individuals, and these are well-known individual, internationally well-known individual. They essentially spam the Hive blockchains with 60 posts a day. 60. And these are all automated. So this is essentially different social media posts, but they wrote a bot and essentially funneled all of that to Hive. And it was impossible to deal with it without downvote, right? So, there are a lot of examples similar to that. Now, what we are discussing here, like in our little community, none of that is of that magnitude. But since you asked the question, where the origin of the downvote, that was the origin of the downvote.
Do you feel like it's serving its purpose appropriately, AZ?
Yes, I would say it is. I think it is used much less. I want its used to be more, because let me see if I can point you to a website, downvote untrending, the untrending report. Okay, so I don't know if you have seen this website. This is I'm just posting it in Discord, and so that you can both take a look at it. Where is our joint one? There it is. So take a look at this. This tells you who downvotes in Hive and how much they have downvoted, and what percentage of total downvote is there. So, for example, right now it's 99.8. Yeah. So 99% of all votes are upvotes. So last 7 days, Post received 2 million, I think it is 2 million, right? 2 million upvotes and 5,036 downvotes. There you have it.
Yeah, almost 2.1 million upvotes.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it just for clarity's sake and to kind of have it up there. But so, you talk about the spam posts and everything kind of being a drain on the ecosystem, but people have to, people have to upvotes. People have to like something before it can get any payout, right? If you just post something and nobody reads it, nobody likes it, you don't get any payout. So,
right.
So it's so how, if these repetitive and spam posts are out there, if isn't the mechanism just don't vote to like them in the first place?
Very good. So that's the next. You brought out immediately the next important point at Hive.
Right.
99.99%. So there is 2 million upvotes that you saw, right? 99% of them are automated. 99% of the votes are automated. Automated means there are people who have set the voting bots, and you can set your own voting bot, and there are free services to do that. Hive.vote being one. I mean, I have automated voting set up myself. So, and you can set up a variety of different rules. A lot of people's rules are, if there is a post in this community, whatever that community is, you are going to get a vote. Okay? So, no matter what you post, you can post gibberish in that community, and you are going to get certain minimal vote. Now, they're very small. They would rarely be add up to even 50 cents. Like if you are a completely new account and you post a random post at a random community, there are chances that you might receive 0 vote, or you would get a very nominal vote. So your point is, okay, so then if a random accounts get created and just to spam the blockchain, then there is really no harm to it other than it's just, it's clogging the blockchain, right? It is clogging the blockchain with stuff. But that's not always that is done. There are voting patterns. Since these are automatic votes, there are voting patterns that people can identify very easily. Now, I'm not going to tell you a lot more about it, not that it is very secret, but there are voting patterns you can identify, and it's not hard to identify. Okay, and you can target your post based on those voting patterns, and then you are going to get more than the nominal votes. But even then, if it is a new account, your chances are pretty low. What was happening? These accounts were not new accounts; they were old accounts. So they would already receive some vote, and they have just targeted those accounts to receive more. So that's how that proliferation started and continued.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, you say that kind of, so when you have the money is there, but it's not yours in the 7 days, but because of these votes, because it's sort of people have given you, whether it's, automated services or whatever, but there maybe people have these set up, like people have, if I make a post and, it gets likes, it is money that people have given me, right? Like if I'm standing out in the street corner and, I'm asking people for change and, I've collected a couple dollars and, maybe you're the shopkeeper and you say, well, no, you're in front of my store, you can't be here. And you grab the money out of my can and you say, this isn't your money because you shouldn't have been here. And, if you had walked away with the money or whatever after the certain amount of time, you would have been fine. But, I'm here now and I say, you can't do this. So I'm taking the money. Isn't that an accurate parallel? Like, isn't that sort of the same? Like people have given you the money, but other people have come along now and taken it away.
Yeah. So, this is actually great that you given this particular analogy. I have been told this particular analogy so many times, this exact ones.
Oh, really? Okay.
Exact one, yes. So
I thought you were about to get called out for being so original there, Happy.
No. This is the exact
it's
analogy.
Pretty easy parallel to make.
It's a very easy analogy. This is the exact analogy that's been told to me. So I have the answer prepared already. Okay. So I do not even have to think. So this analogy is not correct. And the simple reason being, that is not the way the Hive reward pool works. Within that 7 days, so think about you are asking for money, right? You are playing violin and you have a cap, you have an empty cap in front of you, and people are putting coins in there. The difference is that this cap is not yours and that money is not yours. Imagine a situation where there is this container where people are putting money and people are taking money constantly. There is this very large container, and there are many violin players. There are violin players. There are magicians. There are street actors. There are all these different people, and they're all doing their stuff in front of this massive box. And people are putting money there, and people are taking money out of there. And all these people, all these content creators, all these performers have a small percentage, a small potential percentage of that container. But they only get that small percentage after 7 days. They have created their content, and this content is out there kind of on an auto spin, right? They have created their content once, and this content is getting played over and over again. Just like in YouTube, you post a video and that video is getting played over and over again. But in YouTube model, based on the playing, you get a small percentage, a very small percentage. The Hive model is you don't get any percentage until day 7. And at day 7, you get a percentage, but you get it only once. And you get it proportional to your share of that reward pool. And the votes, the cumulative vote, decide your share. Okay? So there is nobody taking any money from your cap or from that little box that is in front of you. There isn't any in front of you. So this is what you have signed up for. When you created your first Hive account, this is what you signed up for. So that's the difference.
So to extend that analogy that you provided, Hep, it's more like the community in the parking lot of that shop are working together to decide ultimately what you as the busker or seller deserve, and then presenting, and you have a bird's eye view of these calculations as they're happening live, and then at the end of your shift is when that payment is delivered. Is that a fair?
No, yeah, I
that's
think
a
you
fair
handled it
analogy.
very well. Yeah, no,
yeah, that's a fair analogy. I mean, you handled it better than I did. I mean, I took more time, but there have been discussion. The reason this concept of vote, upvote, downvote, whether I'm getting the vote or not, it's so apparent because you have that number right next to your post, right? A dollar number or a Hive number, whatever you want to call it. You have a number that $15 or 15 Hive unit. Actually, the right way to say it is 15 Hive unit that you are receiving at a given point. There have been discussion to take that out completely. Not take the reward out, but just take that number out. It is unknown to you. And you would just get that number will show up on day 7 at payout. And you have no idea before that. But that did not gather traction.
I think that would probably
traction.
move things out a little bit. But you brought up the issue of, negative feedback or constructive feedback. But, and I think there is a big difference, right? And I see that if, I see that it can be annoying if you're downvoting people and people are bugging you about it. But I think that sort of if you're going to take on that role and responsibility of downvoting, then that's going to be, a negative consequence you're going to have to deal with. And
yes,
I see that people reaching out because, maybe they want to know. They want to know what can I do different? Why did this happen? It's it's just unless you leave a comment and say, which I know you often do. I've seen that you will leave a comment. I don't know if you always leave a comment when you downvote, but I've seen places where you do, which is good. But if you just downvote something and like if I have somebody who's working for me and I give them a project to do and they come back with the project and I just write a yes or no on it. Well, like writing a no on it's not going to tell them what they need to do differently next time to get a yes. So, I think that, to the extent that if you're not going to leave a comment and someone's going to bug you about it, I think that's fair,
Yeah, that's fair. And if it is a downvote that I'm issuing to an individual that has not received a downvote from me or like not received a downvote at all, 99% of the cases I typically leave a comment. Sometimes, if I really feel it is spam, like, I know it is spam and, I'm doing this for a very long time, I sometimes don't. And, 99% of those cases, people don't get back to me because they already know that they are doing something that is not acceptable, right? But, I typically leave a comment. People, whenever they reach out to me, I explain why I did what I did. So, like I said, it is okay to reach out. It is okay to reach out, but, reach out with an open mind. Don't reach out like with defense in your mind. So don't activate your lizard brain immediately. right? Don't activate that.
Don't say, Azircon, you're such an asshole. I can't believe you did this.
Yeah.
Say, hey,
Which you
what
can.
happened?
Which
And
you can.
Azircon's going to respond, well, why, yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is
He'll
not
tell,
that
he'll tell you like
people.
you just told me. That's not the first time I've heard this, and I have an answer
Yeah.
prepared already.
Right, right. And I do not even have to think about it. Usually these things go so similarly. I have all possible variations that I have heard, and I have answered prepared in my mind to answer all those possible variations. So
Okay,
Need like a
this is
hotkey thing
something.
set up where you just like this is the number 7 response, and
Yeah, number
Discord fills
7
out the
response.
text for you, right?
Yeah.
Azircon, what do you think if we put it this way? Because I feel like 0.2% of all votes distributed on Hive are a downvote. And I would say, if you're spamming, you probably know that you're spamming. You know why you received that downvote. If you're new to this thing and you're constructing solid, valuable content, you're responding to, a challenge put out there by, whichever community you're partaking in, it's almost like a badge of honor that you're doing something right. And,
Mhm.
Maybe your wallet doesn't look like it is warranted of $100 payout. Eventually you'll if you have the right intentions and you're planning to stick around on Hive and your reputation starts to grow, it doesn't look like you're extracting HBD or Hive power all the time. Those downvotes are eventually going to go away. I almost feel like it's a badge of honor if you're doing the right things and you still receive a downvote. I mean, 0.2% is, it's not very likely that you're going to actually get one. But if you do, uh, and you're doing the right things, I feel like it's actually a sign of encouragement. You are doing the right things.
Yeah, well, I do not know how you actually handle it. This is all personal. Go take a look at my account. So I receive downvote every day. Like anything I post, I receive downvote, and there is good reason for it, and I should receive downvote. So there is nothing wrong with that. Do I go out make a big deal about it? No, I don't. So and a lot of these cases, I have issued downvote personally, and I have received downvote personally for personal reason. Personal reason meaning, I know this particular person is doing farming activity. I have done farming activity in the past, and it's the intention, this person's intention to the blockchain or to the game in certain cases is not good, in my opinion. And in that case, I have taken the liberty of issuing a downvote to protect the blockchain against that. And therefore, there have been people who have sent downvote my way, right? Because they feel, and correctly so, those downvotes are personal. So you just have to deal with it, right? And for that reason, if somebody calls you a hole, that's fine. The other side can do magic too.
That's the name of this episode right there. The other side could do magic too. I love it.
Yeah. By the way, hey, you know where this quote is from, right? This is from the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. The first chapter on that book is the other minister, and this chapter ends with this quote: "The other side can do magic too."
All right. I was
Because
like, I knew that sounds familiar, but yeah.
yes,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, I really like that.
You just wrote a post with including that, right?
Yes, I did. I did. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably not the first time. I mean, I have used that quote many times. The other
Nice.
side can do magic too. So yeah. So whenever I always believe that if you do a particular action, you have to own it, and you have to be mindful of the consequence of that action. So whenever I do certain action, I am mindful that I have to deal with the consequence of that action. And I am okay with that. And as other people should be too.
I know we probably want to switch gears a little bit here, but I am kind of curious to hear about how you go about identifying stuff to downvote? Is it something where you're monitoring somehow like frequency of posts, or are you just kind of in your communities looking at what's going on a day-to-day basis
Right.
and kind of keeping an eye on things that way?
So if you go to Splinterland community and if you look up my name, you'll see I have a title. And my title, and this is very new. These days you can do that.
We just
My
got one
title,
too, AZ. I don't know if you saw
what's your title?
the Splinterlands podcast.
Ah,
Nice.
can you see my title?
I'm pulling it up as we speak.
Yeah.
The Cabal
Well, why don't you
Lord.
tell us?
The
Yeah,
Cabal
there you
Lord.
go.
Look at you, man.
Yes, that's my title. That's my title. So I have been told numerous times that there is a cabal within Splinterland and there is a cabal within Hive, and all of that is true. So here it is. It's the big reveal, right? All of that is true. So, and again, if it is true, there must be some lord who controls that cabal, and that would be me. So that's the the origin of the title. No, so long story short, at Hive there is a group of people. First of all, there is an organization. There is a group within Hive called Hive Watchers. They look out for Hive for spam. It's a project within Hive and has always been there for a very long time. It's actually they have a proposal, so they are supported by Hive THF. But that is just a small group of people. There is around surrounding them, there is a big group of volunteers, people like me. I am certainly one of the more vocal ones, but there are a lot of other peoples. There are probably in the order of 40, 50 people who are very active, who look around Hive and look for this abuse, various type of abuse, right? And they help each other out. They have a group where they share, abuse information. Some are paid. Most 90%, 95% of them are unpaid volunteers who do that. And most veteran hivers, they actually do that on their own. And they let people know, let each other know. And that's how we find out. So that's the short answer. So it's mostly a volunteer run system. And also there are few paid employees.
Well, this goes back to our very first episode with you when we kind of started to dig into the reason for your selection of Kawanashi as your profile photo, as your pseudonym on Hive. I like Aircorn, man. That's a funny funny nickname I hadn't heard before.
Yeah, that's Alex Van who gave me that name. We and Alex Van, they are a couple of my favorite friends, so they gave me that name. So,
fun stuff, man. Well, Azircon, I was just quickly flipping through the comments here, and it looks like mostly supportive, mostly amused at your embrace of all of this stuff. And yeah, man, you're a straight shooter, dude. I think we got to be grateful that we have this kind of personality running the cabal, dude. So I'm glad that you've finally revealed yourself as the Lord of said cabal.
yeah.
Well, let's before we shift out of Hive, we talked about it a little bit last week with Rogue. But it looks like all of the Hive that the DAO had procured is now fully powered up. We're sitting at about 2.5 million above the return votes. Looks like we're in pretty good position. There's quite a few proposals. I think more than I can remember in quite some time between us and the return proposal. How are you feeling about all of this stuff? Do you care to comment?
Yeah, well, I am never comfortable, but it is good to be where we are right now. I am thankful to the community, to the Hive community for supporting us. But essentially, the way DHF works, you can always get out of favor. So, I will be comfortable only the day our last funding, the last day of our funding receival happens.
Yeah.
Until then, we can always get out of favor.
Well, let's keep out with the things like the social media challenge, the TPG challenge, stake your hive, and keep your supported vote going towards Steam Monsters on the DHF proposal. And
Yeah.
hopefully we keep our heads above water in the meantime. We got
Yeah.
99 days remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's shift gears.
Okay.
The other elephant in the room is this big proposal that stirred a whole bunch of shit up last week. We kind of got it out of the blue just in time for us to talk about it on our last episode. And then we got a little bit of an impromptu downhaul from Cryptomancer and Matt and Clay playing moderator there. Can you kind of walk us through how you're feeling, AZ, before, after, now, if there's any difference?
Right. The before after of that, no particular difference from my point of view, because all these individuals, I have communicated with them ahead of time before that town hall. But when the post came out, that was kind of out of the blue for me and for a lot of us. I mean, for all of us. So, there was a little bit of a lack of communication on that, but a lot of that, I would say, is water under the bridge. Now everything is out there, so really I don't have any complaint. If you ask me, are people generally happy about it? Most people would say no. But at the same time, what are our options, right? We have fairly limited options. So in terms of, what's on the table, I think with the new amendments that have put in on that proposal, and I'm sure you guys have read that. So there are a series of amendments that is put in right now. I think with that, community in general is feeling fairly comfortable. Top stakeholders are on board. They will support it. I will vote in favor of the proposal. And so are a lot of other people's. And our reasoning is quite simple. Essentially, do we really like it to spend this much of money and, do almost a full draw of the DAO funds? No, we don't. However, do we have any other option? Everything said and done, all these DAO funds, like if you really neutrally think about it, how did the money ever got into this fund?
Yeah.
The money got into this fund by different sales. Before there was DAO, it was Matt who was putting the money into this fund to create the DAO, right? So everything said and done, it's ultimately team's money. We are just a custodian for it, and we are trying to do a good job of managing it. We are trying to grow it if possible, but it's ultimately team's money. It's Matt's money, right? We are just the custodian of the funds. And if push comes to shove, if there is a situation, and it is that team is struggling with budgets, and Matt has been very transparent to the community about the budget, right? I mean, how many times you have seen a leader of the company is coming out and giving you the cost benefit analysis of the corporation to every single person, right? It's still a private company. He doesn't have to do that, right? That is not a public company. He's not doing an SEC filing. So he doesn't need to disclose the finances of the company, but he did. for the benefit of the community. So we should be appreciative towards that. And, it's push comes to shove, we will stand up and support it. So that's my take. He will get the vote, and I am hopeful that proposal passes.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and something I've been thinking about the last couple days, and kind of reflecting on the Dow Hall. Um, don't think I didn't catch all of it. Stuff was going on. I was kind of in and out of it, but I think I caught all the most relevant stuff. Um, and I didn't hear Matt say this. I think he has alluded to this in the past, but at the end of the day, I think that's a really good point, is that the money got there in the first place because the team set it up to get the money there. Not just with the sales too, but with the SPS, with the minting of SPS, and putting that money in the treasury for the DAO, as part of that original white paper. And so, yeah, when you think about it, in the beginning of the day, it is the team's money. It was the team's money. Like you said, we are stewards of it, but without Matt and the team, that money doesn't get there in the first place. And at this point, at least, without Matt and the team, if they go away, the money, then it's worthless anyway, pretty much. So, yeah, I think as always, I think if the only thing we can be critical is kind of how this was rolled out. Definitely give them credit for getting on the Dow Hall and explaining exactly where the finances are and what the money's going to be used for, and kind of what their vision is of getting the company into a stable financial place, and how the DAO right now can help them to get to somewhere stable, and that his goal is to just get to stability that can be something that they can have going forward. Definitely give him credit for that, but I think that explanation should have preceded the proposal. I think then again, that's I feel like I've been critical of that kind of stuff before. It's just the original messaging is never done the right way. It never makes sense. It always raises more issues, rubs people the wrong way, leads to more questions than answers. But when he actually gets on and explains it, then you're like, okay, this makes sense. Like, I can get behind this because this is the right thing to do. And that's ultimately where I ended up. But I don't know, it just creates, and when the proposal just comes out and the way it's written, it's just like, wait, what's going on? It's kind of just
exactly,
if you just come out and say, hey, here's where we're at financially, we need like this to get us through. I'm going to propose that you guys just pay Cryptomancers or pay whoever's salary to do it, to make it seem like, well, he's going to build land and he's going to keep his timesheet. And, because even in the updates, it's not just for building the land. It's going to be attending team meetings and doing all this other stuff. So like, yeah, we're just going to be paying his salary for him doing his job moving forward. And, if that's what the team needs for us right now, then fine. But just kind of, come out and say that in the first place, and not all this weird stuff.
And I think Matt has gotten that feedback multiple times, right? And this is now becoming a pattern, and so we have to, what are you going to do with a family member? I consider him a family member, right? So he is not great at writing the message. I wish he hires you or BJ to write that post, and in future maybe BJ will be in a position to do that, and maybe you can help at that time. You write amazing, like that comes with your job. So he doesn't know how to share a message properly, and that's a constructive feedback to Matt. But again, now the message is out, right? So it's water under the bridge. So I have no problem with it anymore. But when the write-up came in, I did have problem, just like you said. Just like you said. So I mean, and this is not the first time he has done that. I mean, he has done that in previous occasions too. The first Hive DHF proposal, if you remember that, has the same problem, right? It has the same problem with messaging.
Yeah, and I expressed this to BJ Angles as well, because when that first came out, like, you were gone in India, and like, I'm like, if Azircon is our biggest sort of bridge between the non-Splinterlands part of Hive, or where those communities don't overlap, and one of our biggest Hive holders. Did Matt like check with you before he put that proposal out? Did he run that by you? Did you say, hey, maybe wait a week or two till I get back so I can help you with this? Because that's what that's what I would do. I'm like, who in our community are big Hive holders? Let me get their input and let me get them to help me get support for this before it even goes out. Because when it goes out and it doesn't make the vote, it creates more issues and it looks bad, and there's all these other problems.
Yeah. So, the first Hive DHF, he first did it, but later he did ran it by me. But then, ultimately that did not work anyway. And no matter how I paraphrase it, it wouldn't have worked. So that required, and, now again, it is water under the bridge, so we can talk about it. So that required that later proposal sort of by Lord Butterfly, right? So, but before that, many other events happened, and you guys know that, and let's not go there. Let's not talk about it. But it's difficult, right? There are decentralized governance is very difficult, right? Imagine this. If Apple is a decentralized company, would everybody have iPhone in their pocket? I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not possible. Okay. If Colgate was a decentralized company, I don't think we are going to be using Colgate toothpaste and toothbrush. Decentralized governance is very difficult to run a company. Okay. And it's just so many different people and their personalities. The way I had to, I did one side. I did the SL side of it mostly. And Lord Butterfly did the Hive side of it. He did some Hive side. I did some Hive side. I did most of the SL side, talking to people. My goodness. I mean, if I have to do this one more time, I mean, I would go mad. I mean, and I think he would too. So, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it kind of a, I get it that this is not, Matt doesn't, is not his natural fit of a position, and he's expressed that personally. And, he's doing this because, he is sort of the best person to, or maybe the only person right now to kind of lead the ship. But, is that an issue where if you kind of making the same mistake over and over again, right? Like that's a problem.
No, it is an issue. And so let's have that discussion. Let's get it out in the open. Okay. We would actually can use Matt as a developer more, right? Because Matt is doing all this management stuff and he hates it. He doesn't like to do management.
Right.
And he correctly pointed out during that town hall that, in the past, there have been a lot of project managers in Splinterland, and they have done schedules and things like that. And none of this actually worked. None of this. Right. So, and I agree with him. He's 100% right on that. But that doesn't mean, okay, we don't need project management like that. It's a relatively small company. You can ride it or lead it impromptu, but there needs to be a balance between the two, right? If that is not his strong side, and it is not, and we all agree on that, I would say we can use him as a developer, as a game maker. Like I have always called him game maker, right? You have seen that. I write that all the time in Discord, in other places. Game makers did that. Game maker. I consider him a game maker. I would love for him to be in that role again, as opposed to the role of a CEO. I think that will benefit us immensely.
So do you think that he should, not like that you're calling for his head, but do you think it's in his best interest and everybody's interest that he, step down and find somebody else, even if it's a temporary, to step in kind of as the
Yeah.
CEO and help run the
I
company?
think he's considering it. If you read between the lines, if you read his own messaging, he's considering it. Especially since we have lost so many developing hands right now. Essentially one person is managing land, one person is doing this and that, and we have kind of deconstructed the company into these different pieces now, right? I think he's considering it, and I think we can use that. It would be our great benefit to get him back as a game maker. I am in my mind, this is not going to be a step down in any way. He has always been the game maker. I want to see, it's his game. It's his project. I want to, and when things are tough, I want him to be working full-time as a game maker, and that would benefit us.
Well, I think, something that goes that's an immediate byproduct of what you're suggesting, Azircon, is Matt returning to a place where, and you're right, it's not a step down, it's a return. He's returning to the position that he wants to be in, that he has proven time and time again he's more than capable of delivering from said position. And I think the biggest thing is it will allow him to be passionate about his day-to-day stuff again. I felt like, and I'll be curious to hear what y'all's perspective was, but I felt like Matt in the last couple of town halls, I think it was maybe two town halls ago, that he came out and so candidly said, I fucking hate my job pretty much. I don't want to do this. I am so unhappy here. And I felt like in this down hall, Matt sounded more like the Matt from a couple of years ago, in that he sounded positive. He sounded good. He sounded healthy. He sounded like he was starting to kind of see, and maybe that's a result of what you're alluding to, AZ, is that he's closer to that consideration becoming a reality. And he's coming to terms with that. And I think everybody who has this game best interest in mind, realistically, we all want Matt to be in a position of passion. Like we don't want him to be the reluctant hero indefinitely.
Right. No. And I do not want him to burn out either, right? Burnout is one of the things I talk about a lot all around Hive. Like I almost talk about it daily, right? And, in my real life, when I manage teams, a lot of people do many stressful jobs. And one of the things you should always watch out for is burnout. And I do not want Matt to get burnout. So I think he's considering it. It's our best interest that I want him to become the full-time game maker again. It's his game. This is his game, his brainchild, his original code. I want him to come back to it and own it 100% of his time, be passionate about it, have fun doing it, right? That's how we all win. So
Agreed.
That's the main thing.
So are you throwing your name in the ring for CEO position?
No way. You know the answer already. And never in a million years.
Well, I will say that the communication piece, the bedside manner from Yabamat is something that we've just acknowledged it. We've acknowledged it on past episodes. A ton of different people in the space have called that out. That communication, bedside manner is not Matt's strong suit. All of that said, this was the first time I heard that light bulb go on in Matt's head where he's like, man, this down hall was really beneficial to delivering the message. I don't know why I mull over this post for hours and hours and lose sleep over this post when I could just hop on a down hall and have the conversation. Because I felt, I expressed a significant amount of concern after that post dropped. It came out of the blue. It rang of desperation and urgency, and holy shit, the sky is falling. And then as soon as we had that conversation, and like you said, kudos to Matt for being transparent. I think some of those questions that were in that questions doc from Matt were, he did not have to field those answers to the degree of transparency that he did. But he did.
Right.
And
he did. And that's his strong suit, right?
Yeah.
That is, transparency is one of his strong suits. And he's an all-around nice person, right? He's one of the nicest. I've seen him real life. I've talked to him. He comes out as one of the nicest person I know. And there is, in management, there is always this thing that is talked about, like who you really want to be in an airplane, sitting next to you on a long flight. And Matt would be that guy, right? And it is not that he's going to chat your head out. He's balanced. He's just an all-around good person, right? And he's an extremely smart gentleman, and we really want him to be in high spirit and be a game maker again. So that I keep saying this over and over again because I cannot stress this enough. I want him to be our game maker.
I don't think that's too much to ask you, and I think we all want and have Matt's best. Well, most of us have Matt's best interest at heart, and want to see this thing push through to success and make it to the other side. But before we digress too far off of this proposal, AZ, I want to call out there's one piece here that seemed to raise a couple of ears and maybe leave people with a little bit more concern than we went into this proposal with, and that's number 3, asking for the code base. I read this as we are just getting prepared just in case. I read this as, an ask from the DAO to, if the sky does fall and shit hits the fan, we can persevere this game through based on the assets that the DAO has now that it has the code base. Other folks read this as doomsday preparation. The company is calling quits. This is the company conceding we're happy to give the code base because the company is a sinking ship anyways. Can you clear the air on that? I 100% feel that it's the DAO just prepping. It's not the company throwing in the towel.
Okay, so
also something we've been asking for too, right?
Yeah.
Also true.
I certainly can. First of all, I do not know why this is a news. This has been out there for a very long time, and I think you just said that, and we've been asking for that for a long time. And here is the other part. Not only we've been asking for that, I think this has always been Matt's idea as well. For the longest of time, Matt has been saying his ultimate vision is for every single piece of work, he wants to contract DAO to pay for it. So the Splinterland company, in his vision, is nothing but a contractor towards DAO, right? So if that is true, it's only makes sense all the ownership belongs to the company as well. And you know why he's thinking that? You know this, Hep. This is again, you as a lawyer, it's actually safer, right? If we are really thinking about distributed governance, it is actually safer to have the ownership of the funds, ownership of the code base, ownership of the asset to this entity, which we are calling the DAO, as opposed to yourself. That's why people create an LLC. When you have a lot of investment property, you do not want to own 10 houses in your name. You want to have an LLC and own 10 houses in that LLC's name, and then you own the LLC, right? It's not direct, but basically it's a detachment from an individual to an organization. It's just safer. That's the way world works. And in this particular case, since the governance of crypto is like a gray area always, it's just better. If I'm thinking from Matt's point of view, if I am Matt, I mean, I would do this. I would want all the assets to belong to this distributed entity. And, I contract this distributed entity to do my things.
Yeah.
This has always been his thought process. So I don't think this is a news to me, or this is any special significance at all.
Yeah, I view it the same way. Yeah, and I wouldn't call the legalities around crypto gray. It's more of a murky brown shit show right now.
Yeah,
so
murky brown, right?
yeah, it's there's no nice shades of gray in there really at this point. So yeah, no, I mean, yeah, this is exactly right. He's always said this, that the company will become a contractor of the DAO. And we've asked for this. We've said this. Hey, we want to be able to run this game on our own. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago with Wolf because he had some insight on, the validator nodes because he was working on that project. And, we as a community have been talking about this for a long time. And so when I saw that, it was just kind of, a reminder that like, yeah, you're helping us out now. And, maybe we're not explicitly saying that the DAO is going to get, a return on these funds, but this is all in furtherance of, getting it to the point where the DAO is running the game. And the step one, I just viewed it as, again, the step one was getting the validator nodes, to getting the transactions moved over to the DAO. And then then the next step will be starting to actually migrate the actual running of the game to the DAO. I mean, that's the natural kind of next step of this. And that's just, I just saw that as acknowledgement that yes, we're going to say explicitly that this is what's going to happen. We're going to do this. So
yeah. So it's pretty straightforward. BJ, I hope I answered that, because the answer to that question is very clear in my mind always. So
I agree. No, I read it the same way. I'm glad that both you guys are on the same boat. Yeah, I think it was probably just the context of, maybe a lingering taste of desperation from the proposal. Maybe they hadn't watched the down haul for the full scoop, and then they just see the update, and I can see why it looks like, perhaps a waving of the white flag from the team, but I 100% didn't read it that way. So I'm glad you guys are in the same boat. We got about 20 minutes left, guys. I want to talk some fun stuff. Number one, the snaps. So we talked about we alluded to the snaps earlier. It's Peak D's attempt at short form content, bringing something like a Twitter feed to the Hive blockchain, which is cool. And there's one snap in particular, AZ, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but Matt, I'll read it here for you guys. 12 hours ago, as of now, just checked my feed before bed and got roped into trying out snaps. Figured I could use it to start some Splinterlands speculation. Some things I've been working on lately are Conclave Arena and Hardcore Mode. Have at it. Of course, everybody's going absolutely apey. I see this. I think new game modes. Are we finally getting some new game modes? Have either of you guys had a chance to see this or think about it?
I have seen it. And I have been always lobbying for this PvE mode or a different game mode, because one of the basic thing about trading card game, all conventional trading card game that you play on a computer or on any kind of digital device, they have a PvE mode and we don't. Right? Pokemon is you play against a computer, right? And most of the major games, if you play Prisoner of Zelda, that's a PvE mode. You play against the computer. and we never had that. So all this discussion about bot and all other things that arrives because we are playing always player versus player, and liquidity becomes an issue and all that stuff. So this has always been a request from the community, and if this is what in future at some point in time, if this is the direction we want to go, or this is going to be a different game mode that is out there, I would be very happy and supportive of that. So snaps, I have seen that. I am yet to post a snap yet. So by the way, this is not new in Hive, as you guys already know. It's not. There has been Xsensi has a short form content, which is another front end. Leo has one. They call it Threads. D-Buzz, which is another community, they had one. So it's just Peak D, which is definitely my favorite front end. They have now created one. So this is not a new thing. It's just new from Peak D. That's all.
Understood. Hep, you got any knee-jerk reaction on hardcore mode, and does Conclave Arena mean anything to you?
No. Conclave Arena.
Yeah, well,
I think that's kind of, yeah. I mean, yeah, hardcore mode. I don't know. Yeah.
So somebody ran Conclave. Oh, it's Conclave. I don't think it's Conclave Arcana. I misspoke. Sorry. Okay. So Conclave Arcana. Shout out to DJ. He ran it through ChatGPT, and the response was, in Splinterlands, this likely refers to a group of magic-based cards or a specific focus on magic strategies within the game. The term Arcana suggests it's tied to mystical or magic-related cards, summoners, or strategies. It could be an expansion or specific set of rules that heavily features magic users in battles. I'm assuming that's battle mages, would be my assumption, but since Splinterlands is a card-based game, this would impact how players use their magic-focused decks. So not much to read into there, but interesting. And Matt, he's always been the conservative guy. He's never really thrown out bait for people to go crazy on. So I was a little bit surprised by this move from Matt. So it feels encouraging. I mean, maybe we're closer to having something like this than we realize. I mean, to be completely fair, we've had a number of fairly significant updates, like the website UI update we were talking about last week was a giant overhaul, and there was no.
I'm still getting familiarized myself with the different placement of buttons and the overall feel about it. Yeah,
I do like it though. It is sharp.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's a new feel.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something. What about the new Hall of Legend promos? Did you guys get any?
I maxed the Night Stalker.
Yeah. Yes, I did too.
I have Night Stalker at level 4.
Okay. Execute? Does he have Execute?
He does have Execute at level 4. Getting him up to level 6 gives me like a +1 to the speed and a +1 to the melee. So it's not till max that he gets the explosion, which I feel like is really where he's really, really awesome with. But definitely a good card I've been trying to play around with in some lineups to get the Execute going. Using them with Rekla and some like Thorns rule sets.
Yes.
Just kind of playing around with it. It's fun. It's fun. I mean, it's fun at level 4, and maybe I'll probably get it up to level 6 at some point. We'll see.
So I got 4 of them. I got 4 max, 1 gold foil max.
No.
So I like it so much.
Nice.
Well,
I like it so much.
AZ, you were calling for a card that is like a Venka. That's gonna really shake things up.
It's not quite like a Venka yet.
No.
It's rare.
I would agree. It's not quite Venka, but it forces you to play a very different back line
game. Yes, it forces you to play a very different game. I have been trying to use it. I must say I have not been very successful because the 4 health, that's kind of a little bit of a problem, right? How you place it, you have to place it carefully. So you cannot just place it randomly. It needs some protection.
He is a bit of a
So,
liability. Yeah.
yes. So
Well,
you have to make it survive 2-3 rounds, right? Otherwise, it's probably not worth it. And
Yeah.
also, like, it is very difficult to place it in high mana games. And a lot of the current rank matches are high mana. So it's only 4, right? So if it is like a 50, 60 mana match.
We finished the episode last week talking about how it feels like actually the average is like below 25.
And
Yes.
I've been paying attention to it since then too, just be like, maybe it's just like weird because I like, don't like lower mana matches as much and they stick out more. But no, definitely in the past week, I've had more lower mana. I've had more matches of 25 mana and under than
Yes.
over 30, over 40. So
yes, and I would agree with it. But yet my success rate, I've tried to do this quite a few times with different teams manually, and I do not have a hang of it yet. I
Well,
don't
Azircon,
really know.
let me give you a tip, dude. I want you guys to take a wager. The first match I played with the Night Stalker, I want you guys to take a gander as to which summoner he was being hailed by.
Dallin?
Dallin, and he went for the victory. He got the victory. I think it's the first time I called on Dallin in like 12 months, man.
Oh my god.
And I won. I
my
don't think
God.
that Dallin made the difference, but I'm not gonna.
He never does.
It did
He
not
never
make
does.
That's irrelevant. That's irrelevant.
It would have been better if you played Thaddeus Brood so to get that -1 health, but
Yeah,
Probably.
exactly. Probably. So
What about what about Delia? Did you go after Delia, Izzy?
I got one. I got one max, and I have used it, and I have won a few games with it too. I am placing it at the very back. I'm placing it at the very back because it has the it has a return fire and both and flying. Not
Dodge,
flying.
dodge,
What's
right?
the dodge? Sorry,
Dodge.
dodge and return fire both. So and it's pretty fast. So
She's actually
I've
a great
been,
counter to the Stalker, right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, provided you miss, right?
Right.
And it's because Stalker is 4. I think Stalker speed is 4, like base speed is 4, and Dahlia is 5. So if there is no buff and debuff, probably Dahlia wins with the dodge and the return fire. So I don't know.
Both fun cards. I think both of these. I haven't looked at the Hall of Legends leaderboard this afternoon.
I was just looking at it like right now, like a few minutes ago. Right now, I think my rank is 24, and leaderboard will show you how much is spent, right? I think that's the very top. 196 right now.
Oh boy.
196.
And it took us it took us almost 10 days to get to 100 million last time.
Right. So I think by tomorrow we are crossing 200. So, I am considering this 100 each. Anything more is all bonus. So 6 of them, 100 each, anything more is all bonus. So I'm very happy so far. And this one, people will need this. I mean, definitely Night Stalker, people will need this. Yeah.
Do we want the very meta cards to be coming out as pro? It's a double-edged sword. I
don't know.
It's a tough question, right? Because we want good cards to be available in the promos. We want the promos to be successful and generate as much revenue as possible. But we don't want to destroy the meta with these cards that are expensive and scarce and difficult to come by.
It's a difficult question, and not just that. Vaktis said that fairly recently, and he's struggling with this concept himself. Like, promos get a 10% bonus, right?
Yeah.
They do. So if we fill the game with a lot of promos, a lot of powerful promos, not only, it is a little bit exclusive, which is, your point and many others' point, but also it is sort of inflationary as well.
Oh, the rich get richer. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a smaller, and it adds up, right? It's additive because it is in every game. Like Venka, if you can feed Venka in a team, you would feed Venka. Tofu, if you can feel tofu, you would take tofu. Now they are neither of them are promos, but imagine if there is a promo like tofu or Venka. So there is that argument you would always have to do. So, but at the same time, I want this sale to be very successful. And one way to make it is if you make them very strong, very desirable, right? Otherwise, why would people buy it? So, that's the counter argument. So you need to have a balance. You need to have some kind of a balance. And I think so far the balance is good. I don't think we all like Night Stalker, right? But we all said this is still no Venka.
Yeah.
Or this is no Grimbardun Smith. Grimbardun Smith is a rare. So equal to equal comparison, right? This is a rare. Grimbardun Smith is a rare. This is no Grimbardun Smith.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, right? So it's only fair.
Well, I think the balance kind of comes back to that proposal, the DAO getting 2 proposal cards to distribute as we see fit, which I think is going to be an interesting conversation that, I think after we've run our course with these promos, the Hall of Legends, plus I'm assuming the auction card will come before the next core set, which I imagine comes sometime Q2-ish, Q3 at the latest. I would expect that these 2 promos, the DAO is going to kind of keep them in their back pocket for whatever is after Rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, we need a main set. We need to do a main set now because we need to get rid of CL from the modern. That's the main reason, right? Main set comes in, CL gets out of modern, right? That's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then you light a fire on the card market because nobody has enough Rebellion. Nobody has it. And
interesting times ahead, man. We're probably 6 months out from something like that. Yeah, I really hope that we get a schedule of product release for 2025 in the next. I would love it tomorrow.
Expect schedule. Don't expect schedule. You are not
well,
going to get
just
a schedule.
This is what's coming in 2025. I think.
Yeah, well, that's not a schedule. That's just a wish list, right? So yeah, you can get a wish.
Well, course set
too whether we're
2025.
I think we'll probably try to find out too, like, because she's still tossing around the idea about the mini set, right? So are we doing the mini set or are we doing just going right to the next card set?
Yeah, I don't think we need the mini set. That's just with the promos and things that are online, like on the cards already. I don't think we need a mini set. I think we can skip a mini set and go straight to the main set.
I agree.
Think that would be best.
Okay, well, AZ, let's get you out of here, man. Always appreciate you swinging by. A lot of fun. We got a whole slew of new nicknames to address you by and call you in various discords. Yeah.
What's this card art for the episode? Do we have to make it one of like the Gablano mob boss now that
the Cabal Lord is out in the open? I had actually. Let me show you.
It's your call. It's your call. You do whatever. So, but always remember the other side can do magic too. That would be the title.
That is 100% going to be the title.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
Well, that's your tentative card. Your tentative thumbnail right there, AZ.
All right. Hey, that's cool. Yeah. Mana Warden. Yeah.
Yeah, great card.
I have never used that card, by the way.
Man, I was so disappointed that we didn't see something like Reach come in
I
at,
have
at
not
like the
used
gold
that card.
level.
I cannot fit that card. That's probably one of the most underused card right now on the recent cards for sure. So
Well, I think
I was-
the bots need to start figuring out what is the meta with Mana Warden, because I feel like there is a place for him. Shield is a big value add, but yeah.
Is it just I was trying to use it in something the other day, but then I couldn't find it. Is it just a card that you don't give shield to any card in front of it? Is that right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So are people not like, I was thinking about why are you not playing it behind like Izzyar? Has anybody really tried that? Because then
I have
Izzyar
not.
has
It's-
shield and the mag and the void,
And
like,
void.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
I like
Not a
him
bad idea.
behind the Zenith Monk in Little League.
Mm.
It's a nice
Yeah.
play
Yeah, because
for the same idea.
Yeah, for the same idea. Then he's stronger against melee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Cool.
I have to try that. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, AZ. Good stuff, dude.
Okay.
Real quickly before we get you out of here, are you going to be submitting a post to the TPG challenge this week, AZ? We'll put you on the spot.
Me, no. I am on the receiving end. I'm the consumer. I have been reading them. I have been voting them. And I think it's a very good effort. And just comment more, both of you. I think that helps elevate people.
Agreed.
That the more you comment, it's not about the vote. The more you comment, people get engaged, and that really helps. So do that, please.
Yeah.
Conversation is big. I agree.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, maybe one of these days I'll put out a compelling enough challenge that you won't be able to resist, AZ. But until then,
maybe.
enjoy consuming, dude.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, everybody. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week. We got Cryptomancer, a bit of a hot name around the Praetorian campfire at the moment, swinging by to have a little powwow with us. First time in almost a year at this point. But yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. In the meantime, you have been listening to
The People's Guild.